Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June 27th Product Analytics Group Sync. Good to see everybody. We'll go ahead and get started with the build board review and go through the remaining agenda items. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. Thank you. So going through the open issues, some of these have been there for a while, but it'll be good to re-review. Logging, we still have an overall strategy to just want to move everything over to Elasticsearch, get everything things set up there, but that'll require some infrastructure work, which right now on my side, I've been personally focused on just making sure that ClickHouse is running with securely with SSL and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been able to pay much attention there. I would say in terms of what I've been doing with ClickHouse SSL is being able to handle customer data and customer facing releases. So with this issue, as well as the quarterly OKR that I have for this quarter, that's been my focus the past few weeks. Continues to be for this week. We have another issue for improving management of environment-specific configurations. This is with regards to how we do the values YAML file when we actually set the values, the secrets for the different clusters. Right now, that's in 1Password, and so the question that is the question I'm being asked in this issue actually is that where we want things to be, or do we want them stored somewhere else that's perhaps better at version control, for example? So would that be a private repository perhaps? So I'll relay my thoughts there. Notifying users of existing PA projects to update to Snowplow SDK, we've effectively done for the most part. Part of that was to reach out to had the feature plugin enabled for that, but at this point, I think it's just we've announced it in the channel. Anyone that's been using Product Analytics will have already seen that they either need to reinitialize the onboarding process or not. So I think I'll go ahead and close this issue. After that, we have a draft issue for Product Analytics initial setup, helping people configure at Product Analytics. Actually placeholder for now, so don't think Kevin's on the call, so we can just move on. We got user namespace support for Product Analytics. This is the backend issue that we can kind of start to work on, but yeah, it's a bug that's been here for a while. There's another backend issue as well related to something I found when we actually enabled Snowplow on the production side of things in terms of initializing the analytics worker to actually tell Snowplow to configure itself properly. And there's some times where it will not actually fail. And we have some projects out there that are stuck in the onboarding loop because the job is still done.
Sorry, I want to ask about this one. I'm not sure, I haven't checked this card, but we had a very similar card. It was for the Jitsu one. It's really for Snowplow.
This is for Snowplow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there's an issue. So specifically, there was an SSL configuration issue when I was upgrading the cluster for production. And for whatever reason, the Sidekick worker, if it hits an SSL issue, it doesn't actually consider an error or doesn't fail. And so the Sidekick retries exhausted never hits its limit because it's just running perpetually until the SSL error is resolved. But what I've found is that the job is still running even though we've fixed the issues. So I'm not sure what's happening there. But basically, there's just some edge case where the Sidekick job is not failing when it should. That was found for Snowplow. Marina's got an issue for custom dashboard documentation that I will just go ahead and move on from. We've got adding Product Analytics to the experiment features list. I believe this is just to be able to toggle it on and off. Then we've got issues for exceptions not being properly handled in the Snowplow Product Analytics worker, as well as the issue for cube does not return 0 values for a given date range, which is causing a bunch of graphs to look a little different. You're requesting the last 30 days of information, but you only see data points for a subset of that. Those are open, those are available to pick up. I don't believe Kevin's here, so I don't know if there's anything to call out for write prototypes.
I can give a quick update on that. We did the moderated interviews earlier in June. Last week did unmoderated with usertesting.com. Overall, generally pretty good feedback. I think there's another iteration coming. that'll go back through another round so that we get up to the n equals 5 that UX is looking for, but with a slimmed down version of just creating the dashboard and choosing from existing visualizations, not creating a new one as part of the flow. So making good progress there. Should have that closed out end of the week or so, I think.
Sounds good. Cool. So for planning breakdown, we've got hiding analytics dashboard. The product analytics is disabled instance. I believe John created this issue. I think it's just a bug that, or a feature enhancement that we can pull in. We have additional capacity for. We've also got adding error states to panels, which is also unassigned. So unless anyone has anything they want to add for these issues, I think we can just move on.
I can quickly talk about that.
Okay.
Kevin's done the designs for that. I think we're just going back and forth on the last design for the MVC global error. But other than that, I think we're good to go. So that should soon be ready for development once I do the planning breakdown.
Awesome. Cool. And then in blocked, we've got removing Jitsi related backend code from product analytics features. I'm actually just curious.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Actually, it's not blocked. I just forgot to move it. Like some parts I did, and some Ellen did it, but transferred to me. So I'm trying to finish them this week. Like they're mostly very basic and fixing some tests.
Sounds good. I'll move this already then to in dev. Cool. And we actually should be able to finish the rollout of snowplow support flags. So we can get rid of at least one feature flag. Cool. Moving on, we have nothing in ready for development, but we've got 5 issues in dev. So Rob, you've got the first one for adding missing trailing breadcrumbs for analytics dashboard pages.
Yeah, that's been a fun one. Great fun. Had to go with the hacky solution rather than much preferred solution because our infrastructure for breadcrumbs with the sidebar, new navigation sidebar stuff isn't transitioned all the way over yet. So I'm just writing up notes for the MR and then I'm going to be sticking it in review. Lucky dog Elwin has been picked by the bot, so lucky him.
Fun times. The next issue is connecting dev and staging GitLab environments to the respective clusters. Staging has been already done. I called this up, I believe, in the last group sync, but or 2 group syncs ago. But dev is running on a very old version, needs to be updated. That's actually come up multiple times when I was on call last week, where that's come into question quite a bit. But basically, this issue is only open because dev has yet to be connected. They cannot be until it's been updated. At some point, we may just potentially deprioritize it or rescope it to just be specific to dev. But yeah, that's where that issue is at. Cool. You have the next one that is create databases and replicated tables. Anything to call out while this is confidential? Or should I pause the recording?
Yeah, so the create database and replicate tables I tested locally. I will put an MR today about them.
Nice. Okay. All right. And then we've got fetching available visualizations from the back end from the dashboard designer, Jan. Working on
Yeah,
this
got this working. Just need to finish up the specs and then it will be ready for review.
Awesome. We've got onboard pajamas to product analytics, which is actually done. I can't see. So Zoom is blocking. But yeah, pajamas are designed.gitlab.com. Instrumented in sending a lot of events. I think a lot of it has to do with some CI automation, but I haven't had time to dig into the data. But we're getting a lot of events. Okay, something's gone. I can't type for some reason, but we'll just move on to. I was going to show the design.gitlab.com dashboard. In review, we've got product analytics admin settings that contain encrypted fields should also be displayed as password fields. This is a confidential one, but Ellen, I've been working on this for a while. Actually, it's got the next few issues. Not sure anyone's got anything they want to add here, but he's also got creating configuration screen for configuring product analytics, post initial setup, as well as removing the related front end code from product analytics features.
I can talk about the last issue there from Alvin. He did a great job. on the first MR to remove the dashboard listing code. Had very little feedback. Very excited to see us finally getting rid of the Jitsi stuff.
Yes, it's a good reminder for myself to actually create the issues for DevKit and the stack itself, because those services are still there as well. But excited to see code, and Leo's working on the back end side of it too. So, yeah, it'll be good to get that all cleaned up. And then in verification, we've got save visualization to a file. Not anything you wanted to add for this issue?
No, just waiting for this to deploy to staging so that I can verify it. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Then fetching custom dashboard files from Ubuntu. We haven't done a board review since last week. It was just more of an impromptu stand up. But we've got upgrading live clusters of Snowplow and Kafka and Analytics Stack. As we know, we've enabled Snowplow on every cluster, so that's all good. We're out of Snowplow now, which is exciting. Alan has added Snowplow support to bring your own cluster, as well as allowing users to connect their own stack at the project level. So we'll be able to start testing that too, since we are now, from a legal standpoint, able to start instrumenting collecting GitLab.com data. So that'll be a good test of that, especially at scale. We've updated the production cluster with Snowplow details. We've made significant improvements to how we manage credentials across the cluster as a whole, but specifically as it pertains to ClickHouse. Leo, you set up Ingress for your separate ClickHouse cluster. Is there anything you wanted to add here?
No, nothing.
Then Jan, you have update customizable dashboard docs. Anything you wanted to call out here?
No, only profusely apologize to anyone that's read these docs before they were updated because they were grossly out of date.
Well, we'll be pleased to see that there are more relevant and updated instructions to actually get customizable dashboards working. So, thanks for that. Alan has also made the change to standardized dashboard date filter presets to be in UTC time zone. So if you're between time zones, like I somehow find myself in, at least when you request data for the right day, or that the day you think you're requesting, you'll get data. So that's good. Updating documentation to focus around shared analytics dashboards. Rob, is there anything you wanted to call out here?
Again, as with Jan, just a profuse apology to anyone that read the documentation for it. It is highly out of date with lots of things, lots of features missing, steps not included. So a good old refactor on that. And I appreciate Jan's detailed deep dive when you reviewed the MR too.
For sure. Updating the user-facing product analytics docs for the first external user phase. Going to pass number of MRs for that. So I guess it's my turn to apologize for the severely outdated documentation. But it seems like we're on the right path to get everything sorted. And I guess at some point too, having UI workflows that you don't have to use the docs to set everything up. But at any rate, it's good to make sure they're up to date and pointing to the actual locations of where we've put things now. So I imagine we'll have to do that again when we have the configurations. Anyways, we have the product analytics for Snowplow switchover plan. I think I've covered this. We're officially running on Snowplow, so that's good. We've resolved a bug or closed it. It's in the correct location when navigating directly to the dashboard URL.
It was a duplicate of the issue I'm working on.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, cool. Thank you. Oops, I've clicked the label and everything's gone now. I think it's still correct. Updating developer documentation from Jitsi to Snowplow event collection. Rob, you've taken care of this. Anything you wanted to call out here?
Only that this specifically is to do with the onboarding instructions rather than the handbook necessarily or docs pages. Yeah, it was a small bug only with project settings because we weren't passing the flag through on the project settings to the front end like we were on our the actual dashboards. So relatively minor bug, a few extra fixes just in terms of structure and stuff.
And then we've got product analytics panel query does not return the query overrides property. Jan, anything you wanted to call out here?
Yeah, this was just a very small backend bug with the new Snowplow interface that it was missing the query rights property when returning a GraphQL result. Yeah, just added it. Now it works.
And then lastly, we've got group and project analytics settings are tied to the product analytics feature flag. Rob, working this issue to note here.
Generally trying to remember.
I remember. I can talk about it if you want to.
Thank you. It's just my mind has gone completely blank.
This was to decouple the setting sections from the product analytics flag and make it dependent on the combined analytics dashboard flag, so that Optimize, for example, could add their sections to this or their subsections to the setting section without our feature flag, like, you know, interfering with their work.
Nice. Cool. Then that about wraps up the board review. The last issue at the top was the one that I just moved over from. That issue was called, but I guarantee I covered it. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I suppose I still actually got it for the bookmark, so let's go back to it. Was the onboarding for jobs. So stop that. And then James, the next couple points.
I think we're down to me. Just wanted to share Optimize is updating that menu for groups, analyze analytics dashboards. I think we need another new issue. Rob, it looks like you confirmed to get the project level dashboard listing in sync.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Dennis, you had said that, or we're wondering if Foundations had approved that. I'm not sure. I asked Chaim in that issue that they have. That MR is pretty far along, so Foundations is going to find out one way or the other. But in our issue, we'll get some weigh in from the folks in the Foundations team about that change and reference back to that other MR. I don't know where the Slack discussion that's referenced in there took place or who was in it, but I don't see any folks from Foundations in the MR. So,
I mean, just to be clear, the reason it was raised is just because with the new navigation, Foundations made the change to call it application settings, I think, or application analytics, sorry, because dashboards isn't unique enough to be able to be pinned outside of its context. Hopefully they still, I feel like they still have issues with the term dashboards, but hopefully, I mean, analytics dashboards describes exactly what it's doing now. It's a shared dashboarding space for analytics content. So what else?
It's a listing of analytics dashboards.
I would still,
and it's what it is.
I would still maintain my position of, and to be fair, I have not participated in racing discussions for this, but they agreed on dashboard because the goal was that we were going to do all the dashboards there. So they had agreed to that name at one point anyways, whether it made sense to attend or not. But whatever it gets named, it would be great if they had the heads up. Ideally, even Optimize is doing it so that we don't have to have that, because it, we'll be happy on the record to say we spent 6 months it wasn't that bad, 6 weeks trying to get a name. They renamed it after something else after that. So if they're going to change it, or if we want to be in sync, which I'm totally in favor of, someone other than us are the ones having that conversation, so that we're not whatever. Everyone understands. That's all I was calling out. There is just, yeah. I hope they have that conversation. Otherwise, I guess they will have it at some point. Yeah, good to know what the outcome is, so that we're aligned when we go to our side of the project level.
Yeah,
right.
any MR through that changes navigation has to be approved by Foundations anyway. So one way or another, they're going to find out. Probably better to give them heads up.
Yeah. I'll ping the PM and the EM in that MR just to loop them in and say, hey, we're going to do the same thing to the project level. Cool. I'll take that as a to-do. And the other agenda item I had was changing the tracking metric again. Wanted to get some input from the team on when to do that. The reason for going from a service ping to a snowplow metric is based on the discussion I had with the product intelligence team last week.
Analytics instrumentation.
Yeah, not analytics instrumentation though, the
What?
data analyst team. Yeah,
Oh.
the Sisense Tableau team. That's headed out.
I think they're literally called data analytics.
I think they are too. I can never. They've changed their name 3 times. I can't.
It is the most generic of. Sorry, that's not meant as a dig. I literally just.
Anyway, and talking to them, but how do we exclude like GitLab.com projects from our dashboards? How do we start to do things like track cohorts of these are all of the users that were in experiment or onboarded in June and July, and then these are all the users that onboarded in August. So we can see the continual usage. Can the users continue to use the dashboards over time, or are we flat because we're churning a bunch of users? Answering questions like that. We need to be able to create a cohort in essence, which we have to do through Snowplow. We can't do with service ping data. So I'll again create an issue, but wanted to get input from the team. This is not super pressing right now. So we're going to slot it into beta or GA. As we start to add features, that gets a little more interesting. Right now, the focus on the beta is make sure that all the bugs are tightened up, we're ready to go, the cluster is in a good spot. And then the focus in the GA epic is going to be getting us ready for billing and usage, things like that.
And I do believe with Snowplow, we are collecting like what license type they have already. So like we should already get that for free once we just track and use the Snowplow specific instrumentation. But I would say ideally it'd be good to have it in beta just because it would help in terms of just ramping up, because beta is going to be around cluster readiness, making sure it can handle the traffic, things like that. So it'd be also interesting to know of the people using beta, like how is excuse me, overall interest going once we've announced it, and are people still on board and using it? How long is the sustained use? But also how many of these customers are coming from Ultimate Premium and not, to be able to, like, as we gear up for the whole pricing and packaging conversation, to have that data. So like personally I feel like it would be good to have before we launch beta, or I guess part of the beta scope, so that once it's complete we're ready for the actual launch.
Okay, I'll get the issue created and I'll tentatively stick it into the beta, the work that we do to start our beta program with customers. Awesome, that's it for me.
All right. Well, anything for show and tell, or is there anything that anyone would like to discuss? All right. Well, we're at time anyway, so it's good to see everybody. Hopefully see some of y'all in Amsterdam. But otherwise, have a good rest of your day, rest of your week, and take care.